This is the sex that got away, Tom, the boy who should have been my first. Without question, Tom was the first man to break my heart. I was too naive to know that I would cause him to do it. I was also too naive to know that I may have caused his to break too. College dormitories are wild times, especially when they are filled with freshmen. Sex, drugs, insane amounts of alcohol, keg parties, fights, and if you're close enough to Mexico, like I was, you get college nights in Tijuana back then. My freshman year, I hung out with 5 guys. I had a crush on George, and I had since we'd met earlier that spring at an orientation for a summer program we were enrolled in before fall semester. During that summer program, we'd gotten very close. Later in the fall, he came with his best friend Adam. Adam was half Italian, half Irish, and he looked Mexican. He was the finest boy in the dorm. James and Mike were kind gentlemen, and Sammy was a gentle jock. On occasion, George's older cousin Donnie would hang out with us and supply us with alcohol. For the longest time, I was the only girl in our clique. We did everything together, from sitting in George and James's dorm room watching movies to going to tequila bars. And I was a virgin when I went to college, and they all knew this. And I wasn't itching to lose my virginity, but I also wasn't waiting for marriage. I just wanted it to be a good experience. One night I went to a fraternity party with a few friends. The guys had gone out because Sammy's best friend from back home had come into town, and we'd all gone our separate ways. I was doing my bored girl at the fraternity party thing when I noticed a guy sitting with fluffy blonde hair in a chair staring at me. He was watching me. It was awkward because I'd look away and look back and he'd still be staring. He never said anything, and I ended up leaving. The next afternoon, everyone was meeting in George and James's room to watch the big Mike Tyson fight on pay-per-view. All the guys were there. Sammy introduced me to his friend Tom. It was the guy from the party. He was laying on George's bed. I sat across the room on James's bed. Even though he watched me the entire time, it wasn't creepy. The match ended, I left, and we didn't speak to each other. About an hour later, Sammy knocked on my door. He told me that Tom thought I was beautiful and was wondering if I would like to hang out that night. Tom had enlisted in the Navy and had come down from Bremerton, Washington for one last hoorah before his ship left for 3 months. I was nervous, but I agreed to hang out with him. It was easy to fall for Tom. He was 18, sweet, cute, funny, and small-town charming. He was more talkative than I would have guessed after 2 encounters with him just staring at me and saying nothing. He was shy, and he loved Bob Marley. Sammy, his girlfriend, Tom, and I got a hotel room. Tom and I shared a bed. He was the first boy with whom I'd share a bed. Unlike most 18-year-olds I knew, I was really inexperienced. Tom was only the second guy I had properly kissed, and I had kissed him all night. Eventually, he made it to second base. We continued like this until we fell asleep holding each other. The next morning, I cried as we said our goodbyes. We exchanged addresses. We promised to write. I was crazy about him. Between writing love letters to Tom, the guys and I would hang out, go to Mexico, and frequent fraternity parties. They all knew I was a virgin, right? So none of them were ever tried anything. I had an intense attraction to Adam. Most girls did. It was obvious that we liked each other. One night, several weeks after Tom had left, the guys and I had been drinking. I had to use the restroom, so Adam went with me. He escorted me. And then we started kissing in the bathroom. He kissed my lips, my ears, my neck. It was fantastic. Adam was 18, but he'd been doing this for a few years. He even had a baby. He had like a 4-year-old son, 3-year-old son. Heavy making out and falling asleep together in his bed went on for several weeks between us. Then one night I told him to get a condom. I was ready. We had sex in his dorm room and I loved it. We were adamant about keeping our relationship secret from George. Remember that mutual friend we had? I didn't know Adam's motives, however, I knew mine, and I didn't want George to know I was sleeping with his best friend since we had shared a history of crushes on each other. Over the next 2 months, Adam and I were still having sex, though rarely. We weren't a couple, we weren't dating, we were merely friends with a secret. I was 100% sure we were not going to last forever, and I was sure we wouldn't even make it through the end of the semester. His attention had turned to another girl in the dorm. We would have arguments, and one night it was really bad. It was so bad that I had to tell George about Adam. And so he would understand why I was acting the way I was. He had figured something was going on. During the entire time, I continued sending Tom 2 or 3 letters a week. I couldn't wait to see him again. I didn't get as many letters in return, but the ones I did receive were long and filled with details and promises and a picture of him in uniform. He was very happy with all the letters and pictures he was receiving from me. In his final letter, he confirmed that when he returned, the first place he was headed was San Diego. I was really excited. Sammy knew it too. By this time, Adam and I were over, and I only wanted Tom. At the time, I didn't understand the intricacies of all that had transpired over the 3 months since I'd last seen Tom. All I knew was Tom and I were going to be reunited. I was dying to see him, and everything was going to be great and would continue being great. Tom came into town. He never came to see me. He avoided me, really. I didn't know why. I questioned, did our 3 months of letter writing not matter? Was he exchanging letters with me just to get him through the 3 months? These were my thoughts. I was heartbroken, to put it mildly. I recall sitting outside the residence hall and him walking by me as though I were invisible. I was not even there. There was no, can I talk to you? There was no, I hate you, nothing. It all happened very fast and was incredibly surreal. After Tom left, George told me that days before Tom arrived, Sammy had asked him what was going on with me and Adam. And it didn't take a genius to determine that Sammy likely told Tom what he observed and what he knew. Adam and I weren't overt, but it's very difficult to hide a relationship of any kind, especially when there's arguing and when you're in a small group, right? And I don't have any of this confirmed. I never talked with Tom again, and I never talked with Sammy about it. For all these years, I never read the letters from Tom again. I still have them, and whenever I hear Bob Marley, I do think of him. I even named a character in a story that I wrote after him, and they have nothing in common. And see, at 18, I had no clue what I was doing, because if I did, I would have waited for him.